I'll just show them how many listings are on the market today, and bam, 60 days ago. How quickly is inventory is moving. So it's one thing I think for people to see the report. So you can pull some cool reports in here, but also if you go to Agent Metrics and you go to Agent Top Producers, you can see I didn't do a ton of listings, but I know there's quite a few agents at NRE that absolutely killed it on the listing side of things. And you can look at historical data, prior 24 months, prior 12 months, all that kind of stuff, and see how many listings versus buyer represented transactions, limited agency, all that kind of stuff, along with total volume. Looky there, recognize that name?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Awesome.
Yeah. Mr. Parker Eads, yep. So, but yeah, you guys should jump in here. There's some really good data for just pitching first-time home buyers, investors, you name it. When you get to kind of this market data, there's some custom reports here that you can pull. That's pretty helpful. Oh, anyways, sorry, that was kind of a long-winded answer.
No,
Kristen.
thank you, Austin.
That's great, Austin. No, that's awesome. Okay, I think we're gonna get going, guys. As they come in, we'll get them. We'll get them linked in here. So ninjas. Austin and his brother, as you all know, from Secret Sauce, they came and presented a little bit about Rentix, and Rentix, it takes the opportunity that you don't need to be a math guru, and helps you to break down numbers in order to provide the numbers that an investor or a person might want. One thing that I've noticed personally, I've used it a lot more in the last 2 weeks. Have a few clients that have jumped in town that are looking for some big projects, and it's been easy. I mean, it makes it so easy for me just to punch in numbers like a calculator to allow me to get, again, cap rates and so forth. So I'm really excited to hear what he's doing, and I'm going to turn the time over to Austin. It's all yours, brother.
Thanks, Dave. On a separate note, I'm going to drop you guys a link here that all of you can jump into. So jump into it, but then come back to the Zoom, because I'll share my screen and walk you guys through it. I just want to make sure you guys have access to it. But I know a few of you right now are currently using Rentix. Rodney, I think, is the latest one to actually sign up and start using it. But by show of hands, how many people here are actively using Rentix? Anybody? See some nods. Okay. All righty. So Rentix, I'm going to do a quick overview of Rentix and how we use it. I know some of you, this will be a little bit of a refresher from our last training, but over the last probably 3 or 4 months, Brady and I, we've been in a lot of brokerages, aside from just actively selling real estate, to show this product, get feedback, and then build it out from there. And so it actually, from our last training, probably looks pretty different. We've added a lot of things like branding, rental comps, lead tracking, some really cool stuff for you guys to help close business along. And I'm going to talk about some use cases, because as you saw, we did a lot of buyer represented transactions last year. Brady and I, we haven't been in the buying and selling side of the business for very long, and so listings isn't something where we feel like we had that SOI, but buyer represented transactions was something we felt like we had more control over the sales process. And so we built this product in essence to help us drive that, either for investors. I think that's usually the most obvious or apparent use case, but our primary book of business is actually first-time home buyers. And I'll tell you guys, or show you guys, how we use this tool to pitch literally everybody. Everybody that we sell in some form or another gets their hands on this product. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
All righty. Thank you. And by the way, at questions, throw them in the chat. Go ahead and just speak up, go off mute. I want to have open dialogue here. So any questions you guys have, I want to make sure you guys get access here as well. So as I mentioned, Rentix, it looks pretty different from last time. We've made a lot of changes just to the user interface, but also to help it be a little bit more custom for you guys. Now, this is actually a property that we put under contract last week, and I was telling Dave and Charlene about this. So we had a pretty incredible week last week. I know I was sharing some market data with what's kind of going on in the market, where we've got a pretty substantial opportunity ahead of us in 2024, where, I mean, we've seen a 25% drop in inventory in 60 days. Now, I haven't been in real estate that long, but Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, that's not very normal, especially when we didn't even have interest rates technically change at the Fed level. And so right now, 2024, I think all of us, it's kind of a broken record, are expecting a very similar year to 2020. And the last thing that we need is people either stuck in analysis paralysis, or just kind of the infamous excuse when it comes to being a buyer's agent that they want to keep looking. And for us, like on average, we show 1 to 2 properties before like people are under contract. Like we don't like to waste time. And it's not necessarily a waste of time opening doors and showing a lot of properties, but like we believe that if we can really get to the bottom of people's criteria, all the way from a first-time home buyer or an investor, when you write the resume for success and you build that candidate, that property, you're going to sell it almost instantly. So last week, for example, just with this huge boom, we put 10 properties under contract, all the way from investments, all the way to, just first-time homes. And this is one that I wanted to walk you guys through just as an example, and then we'll talk about the first-time home buyer scenario. Well, I'm going to show you this page here just so you got an overview, and then we'll actually go through and create this property ourselves so you guys can kind of see the workflow, and then I'll talk through some of the new functionality that I think is absolutely killer for closing people. Now, I've got this edit button over here on the right-hand side where I can plug in all this information: financing, capital expenditures, which is, basically just any extra cost, closing costs, which I've got nothing in here since we got seller paid closing costs on this one, interest rates, PMI, you name it, all the way down to vacancy and repairs, utilities, and then also rent. We've added some multi-family functionality in here. This is a 4-plex with some coin-operated laundry. Let me actually show you guys. I've got some other information in here as well, all the way down to the listing link, I think was another request. So that you guys, when you find a property and you send this link to people, Rentix, they've got everything. There's not all these multiple tabs and multiple softwares and PDFs and reports and rent studies and things that you put together. It's all consolidated in Rentix. Okay. And let me show you just from this where you can actually pop open the listing. This is actually one that's on LoopNet here. Really clean property. What's funny about this has been on the market probably 60 days. It's just sitting out there. Great financials, over an 8 cap, which not sure if any of you remember. So an 8, the cap rate is the return on investment if you pay cash for a property. Typically anything over a 7 cap, regardless of the financing setup, is going to be a pretty profitable property. So this is an absolutely killer property. Fully leased, everything. And all this information is in here. Okay, so I'm going to come back here. We added functionality that allows you, drop a picture in here, add branding. And actually what we're going to do is I'm just going to create this property with you guys here. So when you guys have your own Rentix account, you'll be able to come in here, add a property. Let's go ahead and just do NRA 4-plex. Okay, and we've got a couple of options. Multifamily just allows me to add multiple units. Just throw the purchase price in here. Let's do 25% down on this one. 6.625 interest rate. That was the latest I saw on a 25 down. And then we're just gonna throw in all of the rent here. Now remember, you don't have to be an expert on rent rates or own your own portfolio of investments to advise people on this, because what's so nice about this, and these properties, they are all over the MLS right now, and people have capital, they're wanting to get in before these interest rates drop, because the idea behind the timing of market right now is that if people buy now, they're getting a reduced purchase price in theory, because as soon as those interest rates come down, that property value is going up. And then on top of it, they get to refinance the rate down. So they'll cash flow even more. It's a super airtight sales pitch. But right here, this is where all the rents are. Just plug in existing leases in. Then we got some coin operated laundry. All right. I'm going to go ahead and hit create here. And this right here is where, we're going to add things like a cover photo. And as I mentioned, we added some cool functionality in here for any of you guys that have like your own custom branding, or if you just want to put NRE in, for every pro forma that you guys send to people, you come in here, boom, Tim Learned put his face right there. Every pro forma that he sends out, it's gonna pop up and have his, his face in the bottom right, or his custom branding, whatever you guys want.
Sweet.
Any questions so far? Okay. Now I want to get into some of the meat of the functionality that we added here. So this is going to be just a really brief summary that you guys can send to people. They can jump in here. It's going to calculate all this information. And again, you don't have to be experts on any of this because the definitions are all built in here. Monthly, and this is probably going to be your monthly, not probably, it's going to be your monthly payment summary here. Breaks down everything just like you'd see in Zillow. Okay. Now, next piece that I want to show you guys, and this is my favorite part of Rentix, is when I hit share property. So we have religiously followed Troy Hodell's advice in that we contact every single one of our leads, thousands of leads every single month, at least once, in some personal form or another. And that can be a pretty daunting process, but it's the secret sauce, right? We've all heard it. And when you follow it, it produces. And so Rentix has made having an established or a meaningful point of contact with all of those people extremely effective and extremely easy. Reason being, for example, when I come in here, there's a couple of toggles. So if I hit public, this pro forma here, now if I can copy this, I can literally go into my CRM and I can text it to every single one of them. If you got texting software, bam, you sent the property to everybody. It's already underwritten. And then when they pop this open, let me show you what it'll look like on their end. You don't have to create an account, nothing. They'll just pop open like this. It'll show them everything, your branding here. They click on the listing. You guys can also, as you know, when you text people listings from the MLS, it'll have their, your own personalized information in there. So it stays with you. Everything. And so organically, like for example, last week, where we had so many people put under contract, the reason being is that, I'll go back here, is that this new functionality built in here. It's called collect leads. This is an enterprise level of functionality, or when you hit this toggle, when you pop open this pro forma on a guest basis, if you guys go back to that link that I sent you in the Zoom, you'll see exactly what it looks like. And if similar to like if you were reading an article from, let's call it like Business Insider, where like in order to like continue viewing it, you don't have to create an account, you don't have to pay, but you got to put your name in. And all it does is it's feeding information back and saying that you're interested in the content of the article. And so, yeah, there's going to be like that carrot that's dangled in front of them. And as they continue viewing the content, as they scroll down and they're like, oh, wow, this is a very interesting property, and they want to view monthly payment, some of this is going to be grayed out. In order for them to continue viewing it, they gotta just put their name and phone number or email in. Okay. Now, what that's going to do when they put that information in is you as the host, it is going to send you an email and a notification through Rentix that somebody is interacting with your pro forma. When they viewed it, how often they viewed it. So what's interesting about this is these three people right here, were part of my contacts last week, and I underwrote a few properties. I sent them out, and all three of them went under contract on something. He's a first-time home buyer. He's buying another primary. That's an investor. All different buyer profiles.
Wow, that's impressive. That's cool.
Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to pause there and see if there's any questions before we keep moving on here. Nothing?
No.
Okay. Now, I can't emphasize the importance enough with this. So before I got into real estate, I was actually in tech sales, and one of my most powerful tools was an email tracking software. So when I would send out emails, and all of us, we've got tons of leads, hundreds, thousands of leads, and as we all know, the key is being in front of them at the right time. We have no idea when that's going to be. I mean, we can take a good guess, and we can help people. We can steer people towards timing. But this right here, you continuing to create content, provide value to people, whether that's building net worth through real estate or an owner-occupied opportunity. People want to see this kind of stuff instead of just being, sent 50 listings. They're looking for an expert to advise them and say, hey, this is what this is going to look like, because you're in the business, you're in real estate, you see a lot of different things and you're the expert. Okay. Any more questions on this here? Nada? All righty. Okay. Now, as I think from last time, we also went through this here. This is Insights, which is just going to be a deeper dive, some slick data into, how much their net worth is going to increase based off of certain assumptions like appreciation. Now, obviously, this isn't you guaranteeing anything. This is totally based off of inputs here. There's all these exclaimers and stuff, when people create accounts here, but it's going to update all these assumptions and total equity gain, all that kind of stuff based off of the inputs that you or they put in here. And this is also, I think, an extremely helpful part here where you'll have clients that want to get into the nitty gritty. Is that, we've got annual cash flow, but then you have other things that are so important for converting, like principal pay down, helping people visualize that with a return. So this guy that went under contract on this property, literally just sitting on the MLS, not off market. Financials are there. It's turnkey. He doesn't have to do anything. Out the gates, if the property doesn't gain any value at all, he's getting a 17% return annually. So that right there, that sells itself. That's an easy sales pitch. Okay, next, I want to toggle to, I can't remember if we had this around before, but this is called scenarios. I think we did. But let's say, for example, somebody wants to pay cash. As you guys know, people are always, they're always, playing around with different financing options, especially when interest rates are high. And so they shop it. So let's say, hey, hypothetically, you've got a cash buyer. And then let's also add another scenario here, where they say, hey, maybe instead of going 10% down, I'm going to go 25% down, because maybe they don't want to go as high leverage here. I'm going to show you across the board how those decisions are going to implicate the performance. Okay. Now, additionally, there's some other things, tax savings. We won't spend too much time here, but there's some cool stuff you guys can jump into. But the other piece that we're pretty stoked about here is what's called rental comps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plug in this property's zip code. Now this data is going to pull directly from the MLS, Zillow, Realtor.com, you name it, for rentals. And it's going to communicate market rents all in a single study back to your buyer or back to you.
So is this showing listings or just showing rentals that are currently rented that are being listed? Or tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, good question. These are active rental listings. And you can even
Pull that
see them
information
right
from.
here. So it's showing me this zip code, and that's where I can click on, different things to say, okay, if I wanted to, it right now it doesn't link out directly from Rentix, but if I hit Google and I drop this address in here, it's going to pull this property up here, and looky here, it's available for rent. But this is a part of your guys' job here, or what people ask you to do when they're trying to make decisions. And this is what slows down the buying process, is that people, they go through this process and it takes forever, and they either procrastinate it, or they're not sure where to look, and there's not a good way to consolidate it. The purpose is to have everything that they could possibly ask or question about making the decision. It's all in here. It's all in this single report.
That's awesome. So you can provide them with
Can
the
I ask,
answers.
where does it,
Go ahead.
where is it pulling that rent information from? That seems sort of,
Yeah, so it's not, I said Zillow, it's not pulling, I take it back, it's not pulling from Zillow, it's pulling from realtor.com, and there's one other source. But as we all know,
but are those just estimated? Because I don't know how in the world the software would actually know what it's renting for. Unless
so it
it's
doesn't know
basing
what it's
upon,
renting for. They're just active listings is all.
The advertised, yeah.
There's another system that I use. I just get it on Rentometer. You can use that for things that are actually rented.
Yep. And how much is Rentometer per month for you?
Oh, I got it over the holidays, and I think it costed me like $50 for the year.
$50 for the year? Perfect.
Yep.
This is included with it. But I guess the biggest difference with Rentometer is that what you'll get, like, what people actually rented things for. This will not provide that. But again, the idea behind the software is to consolidate everything, because nothing I'm showing you guys here we're not reinventing the wheel. A calculator for a pro forma, a lead tracking that tells you when somebody's opening your emails and when, scenarios. You guys probably have programs for all of that. But that's the problem, is that we've got all these programs for all of that, and they're all in these different places, and we don't have a clean format to communicate that back to the client, and it doesn't empower decision making. And so when you have all of this into a single interface in front of the client, it's way more impactful. And on top of it, it's interactive, because usually these softwares require you to run reports, and then if they want to change things, you got to go back and regenerate the PDF, and you guys are busy, and sometimes it just slows the process down is all.
Let me ask you a quick question, Austin. So when you're presenting this, you're always presenting this in person, or do you also share through via email or what have you? For example, this project you have right now. I mean, what methods are you using in order to share it?
So I am very rarely presenting this in person. I use Rentix mostly as a prospecting tool, and then this gets them to the property. And then we get to the property, and then I'm pulling Rentix up and basically just reaffirming the sell and closing it from there. So
so when you're sharing the property projection to the consumer, is there a link that goes directly to the address of that property?
Is there? Yes, there is. So if you come over here and you hit edit,
right,
you come down here, property listing link.
Okay.
And you just add it in there. I copied this one from LoopNet in here. And once you drop it in there, it'll update it, and then they'll see it. And here it says view listing.
And so they can link and go right to it.
You got it.
Perfect. Guys, the reason why I bring that up is because, I mean, this is great. It's because a lot of software that gets out there, guys, what happens is that, we're not able to go and really advertise another listing, right? Another agent's listing. But they do have a rule that as long as it has a direct link to the website, it's something you can't get in trouble for, right? Because it has a direct link to it. So that's great, Austin. That's perfect.
Yes,
Love
sir.
it. Love it, love it. So Austin, so I should say agents, make sure you place the link into that, okay? Because you
Mhm.
need to, in order to remain compliant, you need to have the link attached to it. That way you are compliant through the multi-listing system. So
And it's in your best interest to include that link too, because people, when they look at this, they're going to be like, "Holy cow, this is awesome! Like, look at all these numbers here. What is this?" And then they're going to say, "Oh, okay, bam, view listing." Like, the more information you have in here, and some people, like, they'll just fill out a rudimentary pro forma, but they again, that's just numbers. Anyone can plug in numbers, but when it's actually, it's legitimate. I've got everything down to the address, year built, square feet, all of that information here. I mean, this is. They'll ask me all of those questions throughout the process. I mean, that was the idea behind how we architected this, is we documented all the questions that people ask us during the sales process, and we included in this, not to remove the client from talking with us, but so that when we are in front of them, we're talking about more important things like negotiations or reaffirming the decision, rather than talking about information that they already could obtain from this.
Yeah, that's great. Austin, quick question. So if I wanted to see if a home for us personally to purchase and see the cash flow, the investment value, all of those things, I could just use that from here too.
Bingo. Yes, you can. Now, I want to walk you guys through, Christina, a scenario you just discussed here. Let's just talk about a first-time home buyer scenario. Okay. So most commonly, we're selling a lot of townhomes right now. Let's say, for example, it's as we saw, Mr. Parker Eads, he closes, so we like to bring stuff to him because it makes our life easier. Well, for example, one of the things that we sell a lot, 450K townhome, 0% down. Interest rate on this one product we're using a lot is like 6.75. It's amortized over 40 years, and in theory, one of these will probably rent for $2,600 when they move out. All righty. So let me update a couple of things here as well. So we've got seller paid closing cost. We've got, we're going to also plug in some additional information here. Insurance is going to be a little bit lower. Probably have some HOA fees in this. Again, this is super rudimentary here, but this is effectively what we're helping sell people on. The principle or idea of is that, like, they can get into something, and that although out the gates it's not going to cash flow, they're going to have the opportunity to build equity. They're investing literally zero capital into something, and once they move out, either if it doesn't have cash flow, they've got the opportunity to refinance it and cash flow, or if they want to own or occupy a duplex or something that's got like a basement apartment or something like that, that's going to improve the situation. But this is where you could also use that for that. Actually, let me I think I've got a scenario for you guys that just came to mind. This is a home we put under contract this week. It's a single family home in Lehigh, listed for, we're currently under contract, 650K, and it's the buyer's second home. So they bought a home from us last year, a townhome, and now they're wanting to move out and they want to keep that townhome. And we negotiated some seller paid closing costs. They're going to buy down their interest rate, and they're going to put 3.5% down. It's already got a basement rental, mother-in-law built into it. And so what we did is we plugged all this information in here and basically built it out as if they're going to live there, but when they move out, what are the gross rents going to be? So currently, these are the gross rents. And this is just in Lehigh, $4,200. It's what the seller currently rents it for. We put in the property taxes, insurance, and we left some of this information out here. I should probably take my own advice. And this is it here. After they move out, they're doing pretty dang good here. Principal pay down, cash on cash, they're pushing 40% return on investment on a home that's bigger than what they currently live in. So they get more square feet, bigger property, they get a yard. And then eventually, when they're ready to call it quits and move out of this property, if they didn't change anything, if they didn't refinance, if they didn't do anything, they'd be making money every single month, even though it's small, but they're killing it return on investment wise if the property doesn't grow in value at all.
And Austin, I apologize. I have a question for you. I jumped on a little bit late. How are you finding these properties to kind of plug in numbers for to send out to your leads?
We just look at the MLS. I really don't have a formula for that, but what I can say, we're actually building something called Deal Finder in here, where what people will be able to do is establish in their settings thresholds where if you say, hey, I'm looking for something north of a 6 cap or a 5% cash on cash, and we will be scrubbing the MLS for deals, computing the performance, and then just building the performance, sending it to you when it's ready.
Got it. I love that. So basically what you're doing now before that gets released is just going through the MLS and just plugging in numbers and kind of seeing what the numbers look like on each property.
Every single week, usually on the weekend, I will go to the MLS and I'll pull up multifamily. I'll find single units, townhomes, and I'll plug them into here, look at the rental comps and just plug the information in. And when I find properties that are good, I'll make a list of properties and then I'll underwrite them and send them to clients based off of criteria at least I've discussed in the last, couple of years with people. And we just get people that bite.
Awesome. I love it.
So I know that that's a little bit of a rudimentary process, but I guess that's we're all kind of used to that already, right? Is scrubbing the MLS for something that fits our client's interests. Okay, what other questions do you guys have?
Austin, how much does Rentix cost per
So
month?
we have two accounts or two subscriptions. One of them is $9.99, which includes everything here. So if your clients want to subscribe to it, which I have tons of clients that subscribe to it and use it all the time, and what the luxury behind that is that they go find it, underwrite their own stuff, and then send me a pro forma and say, I want to look at this property, which is incredible when you get people to that point. So that's everything here. When we have an enterprise level account now, it's $24.99. That includes everything you see here, including tax savings, rental comps, and my favorite, lead tracking.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I think we've got a code. Is Brady on here? We've got a code for a coupon code for ninjas.
Yeah, he's here.
Brady, what is that coupon code? Do you remember that? I'm looking it up here.
Sorry, I don't remember that code specifically. I remember it was on our last
okay, I got it
presentation.
here. I got it. I'm going to drop it into the chat. Okay. NRE agents. There you go. We're still talking with Dave about seeing if we can get this at a brokerage level for you guys. So if we all annoy Dave enough, we might be able to get just, maybe this will be an NRE thing. So
Come on, Dave.
Real quick.
Yeah, what the hell?
Come on, Dave. Where you at, Dave?
I'm hiding. No.
Quick question, Austin.
yes.
What's the difference between the $99 a month package and the 24?
So the difference is let me go back here. Sorry.
So Christine, it's actually $9.99, like $10, not $100.
Oh my. Okay.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yes. The software is extremely cost prohibitive. $9.99, like as in $10 a month, and then $24.99 a month for the enterprise.
Oh, thank you.
Christina.
Maybe when Christina, you sling, right? So you don't care if it was $100 anyways. But when we add more
I'm glad to
functionality,
find out it wasn't 2,400.
exactly. when we add more functionality, like this deal finder functionality that I was just talking about, where you guys plug in your thresholds and the software finds through AI, finds, underwrites, and sends you the pro forma, and literally all you do is hit forward to your clients, that'll probably be a little bit more spendy. We haven't really determined what that's going to look like. And we've got a lot of people a lot smarter than we are building that out right now, but that's going to be some cool stuff. What other questions do you guys have?
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So
I think
I
think
got a
everybody's
question,
just trying to wrap their brain around it of it to use it, right? How to use it and to use it. Guys, one thing that I suggest is you get on there and play with it. It is definitely it's you can learn quickly how to utilize it. It's not rocket science in no means. How to present it to your clients, yeah, that might be a little different. However, the content and the input and the inputting of the information is simple. Let me ask you one question is when you're working on a pro forma, what is your suggestion in terms of, give us a few examples of how you look at a pro forma, maybe you're trying to buy one on your own, and what are some of the things that you look out for to make sure that you're putting down costs that are necessary, that may be costs that not every agent realizes that you should be inputting into this form?
Great question, Dave. And I'll answer that. I know there was one more question though as well, but before we move on to that.
I had a quick question. Is there anywhere like for tutorials on this? I missed the first little bit of it, but I want to get on and start playing around with it.
So yes, Stephen, I'm actually recording this,
okay,
and then we will mail it out to you guys. So yes. So
okay,
if you guys miss some, don't worry about it.
Perfect.
Yep. We are working on tutorials. Admittedly, that is something that we have kind of fallen behind on. Because we've kind of just taken an approach of, and I very much mean this, like I'm an open book. It's an open door. You guys have my phone number. And Dave is very much right. Like if you guys are wondering how to present this or looking at this and like, I don't know if this applies to my client basis, I promise it does. Give me a call and we'll talk through exactly how it does. And most of the time, I think I'll even be able to provide a couple of use cases across all the transactions that we've utilized this for. So again, my door's totally open. Let me now, pivoting to Dave's question, let me walk you through. This is actually something I have listed right now. It's for sale. I had a buyer. He fell out last minute. He ended up buying that fourplex. It's literally on the exact same street. So this one is still available. Killer investment. And let me just show you guys what it looks like here. So this is I think I'd sent this to Dave and Troy as well, and so maybe a few of you have seen this. This is a triplex in Ogden, and it is fully leased, totally renovated, looks great, leased just like that. So everyone's on year-long leases. Okay, now I've got the financials in here. Now, Dave was asking about, hey, what do you put, like, how do you advise people when it comes to capital expenditures? Capital expenditures is always kind of a tough one. And actually, let me describe the definition of CapEx. So that is going to be anything cost associated with any cost associated with maintaining the property or something that's going to make it rentable outside of the down payment and closing costs. So let's say we bought this and this property needed new ACs and that's going to run us 10 grand, then we would plug in 10 grand here. And a lot of times what I will say to clients is I will throw in a budget for it depending on the life of the property, the condition. And because this one has been recently renovated, it's got a new roof on both properties, the single family home, the duplex, all of the mechanical HVAC heating, all brand new. And so the big ticket items are pretty much knocked out. You may have some things like, replacement window here or there, like, maybe you want to pave a certain area. And so that's why I think it's healthy to have a budget in here. $8,000's pretty good budget. But when you get an inspector in there, a good inspector should be able to help advise the client. And so that kind of takes the liability and advice factor off of you. So if you just use like a whole number percentage value based off of the factors, and you can reason why you've done that, big ticket items being one of them, then you can kind of hone in on this number a little bit better. And I want to move on to some of these other KPIs before I do that. Any questions there? Dave, any thoughts? You bought thousands of houses, but what do you think about that approach?
Oh, I love it. I love it. What I notice is that people who are agreeing, and again, I'm more referring also to the agents, is to be able to capitalize and understand what are the costs that you're going to be incurring. Because again, like for this is a no-brainer. This is done, and your problems are down the road. However, you still need to account for it. But no, I love it. That's perfect.
Okay. Let's move on to closing cost in this market. And I'm the listing agent, so come to me. Let's talk. But if I were coming in, I am almost always negotiating seller paid closing costs in this market. Like it is more often than not that's occurring. So I don't have anything in here, but you guys are all familiar with that approach. Let's pivot to monthly vacancy and repairs. This is a great one. And there's a very easy set of lines that you can articulate. So in Utah, there's several studies that quantify Utah's average vacancy rate, and for the last couple of years consecutively, it's been just shy of 2%. So if you take all the rentals in Utah, you're operating less than a 2% vacancy. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you want to put in here. For me, like I know across all of my rentals, I'm like less than 1%. So I'm pretty confident in an area and my ability what to put in here. So sometimes people, they want to do, let's say 3%. And then for repairs based off of the property, like Dave mentioned, somebody's going to be able to, the inspector's going to be able to advise you. But just for sake of this pro forma, let's throw in 5%. Any thoughts or anything to add there, Dave?
No, that's good. Good.
Okay. Monthly utilities, I pull this directly from the profit and loss. Any listing agent is going to have that information. Sometimes monthly utilities won't even apply, and vacancy and repairs would cover your monthly utility budget typically if you had a vacancy. Okay, property management. I push people a lot towards self-management because self-management, people they take better care of their own assets. It's just usually how it works. But there are great property managers out there. And so sometimes you can throw in, like a 8% or something like that. But even so, this one's got negative cash flow, but I base it off of 10% down. And so maybe you need to play around with the financing a little bit, call Brady Buyer, call somebody and just figure out what is the scenario that this property works, because it's got a great cap rate. And this is what you guys should be focusing on, is when you find a property with a good cap rate, that's where you just got to find the right financing product to make it work.
So are you thinking cap rate is 5% or more, or what are you saying a good cap rate is?
I like to find things right around 7%. Like this one's just shy of it. And so, like this might be on the lower end. But yeah, anywhere from like right around 7 to upwards, if you can find 8, slam dunk.
Got it. Thank you.
This goes back to that scenario I was discussing, is that, well, people say, okay, hey, we're not getting crazy rich off of cash flow right now. $155 a month. That's barely going to pay for Cheesecake Factory or something like that. So what we can explore is refi, right? Fed funds are forecasting rates to be, in the 3s. So that'll peg interest rates in the high 4s, low 5s. And so, an investment property, it's probably not out of question a year from now to be able to obtain a 5.5% interest rate. So let's see what that looks like. Obviously, cap rate doesn't change, but now we've got something we can work with here. And this right here, this is your sales pitch.
And ninjas, just one thing to keep in mind, it's not for all. For some people, this works. In fact, Austin and myself were chatting about it a little while back. He thought it was crazy, but I have a perspective that, yeah, remember when you're looking at these and what he's sharing right now, that there might not be a return monthly, but another perspective to have with it too is, like, for example, let's say there's a loss of $120 a month, $150 a month. The way I also look at it is this: it's like a bank offering you, hey, you put $150 in, I'll put in the remaining $3,600 a month in. That's a great program. You know, I put in 150, they'll put in $3,000, whatever it might be. And until that investment grows, and over time, through the pro forma, it does show the growth over time that, you know what, it will turn green. But even in the short term, I'm going to tell you, to get your foot in the door and get going, don't be afraid to look at it from that perspective as well, because it does get your foot in the door. It allows someone to pay 95% of the bill. Again, you might have to put a little bit in the kitty, but it's not a bad program. So,
and to that point, like let's actually look at a scenario like that. This is a 10% down, like, so pretty high leverage. Banks putting in a lot of money for this thing, which is great for your investor. Now I'm going to play around. I'm going to throw in some extremely conservative numbers here. 2% appreciation and 10% down. So yeah, it's got a monthly loss cash on cash, which again, I think that there's a scenario where you can make this in cash flow, and this is just on the market. But principal pay down, I mean, they're getting a 4% return without appreciation. But when you add in appreciation assumptions, that's 2% annually. Depreciation, these guys are getting a 30% return annually. So I don't know many places that you can get that, unless you get lucky on some Dogecoin or something, and, you know, Elon Musk tweets, or I don't know.
And you know what? And just like a haircut, bad haircut and good haircut, you give it time, it always gets better. And I've seen that through the years, is where we had a mortgage payment to make, because years back the rent wasn't enough. You couldn't get enough rents, I couldn't, to actually get those covered. Having the ability over time through this pro forma, it does show, the performance shows over time what it does. Not only from maybe not from a cash on cash perspective, but it does show over time that the rents are going to increase over time. Your values are going to increase over time. It's something that you buy and you park and you move on. But this pro forma gives you a nice perspective of the long-term approach. So I love it. That's great.
And remember,
Hey, Austin.
this one, we've got management fees in here. So like this is literally, you put your money in it and you don't do anything. So, but anyways, sorry, there's a question.
Yeah, thanks. Would those financials look any different if you were seller financing, or would it essentially be the same?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, that's where we could add a scenario in here as well. Tell me about some seller finance terms you're thinking.
I have no idea.
Can I give you a property? And yeah, I'm gonna.
You guys want to underwrite them
thinking.
together? Let's do it, Dave. I know we're coming up on the hour here, so you can just throw me on mute whenever you're ready.
We're good, brother. We're still good.
Okay, go ahead, Christina.
So what do you need? Oh yeah, it's single family.
The address.
377,000, because that's what they owe.
Oh, that's what they owe. So what would the purchase price be?
That would be, yeah, we'd have to do that.
Okay, so they owe 377, and the purchase price would also be 377.
Yep.
Okay, so they have zero equity.
Yep.
Okay, coolio. Sounds like a fun opportunity for a buyer.
Upside down, actually.
Yeah, so then would the down payment be what we would be giving them? Is that what we're...
Well, if they're upside down, they don't have any equity, they technically don't get a down payment. Like, I mean, I mean, somebody could basically come in and take that note over. I mean, it sounds like they probably have a great interest rate, right?
I'm not the best, but that's the thing is we would just be taking over the payment. There wouldn't be
Okay.
like a balloon or anything.
Okay. So there would be effectively no down payment in theory, because they can't take, if you gave them a down payment, they take that money and run away because they
No,
don't
I
have
know
it.
that. No, that's what we were gonna do just to,
Okay.
help them to get on to where they need to be, right? So, but we don't need to put the down payment in there, correct? Because that's not gonna go towards the purchase price.
You're exactly correct. Yes.
Okay, got it.
What's their interest rate?
Gosh, I don't know their interest rate, but I know the payment.
I'll try to find it.
30-year amortized?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
What's the
So we
name, Ben?
need, so we do need to know the interest rate, right? Or should I just say the payment and what we could rent it for?
So this is function we're actually building out right now. See this, I hate this right here. I hate having to go into other software to tell us stuff, but that's where we're at right now. What is the monthly payment?
2401.
2401, including property taxes, insurance?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what the total assessed property taxes were?
I could try to find out, but
Are you at liberty to share the address? We promise we won't steal.
okay. Yeah. 180. Hold on one second.
Everyone here, that was a blanket promise, right, everybody?
Yeah, that's a promise. Whoever's on
Yep.
here, we're watching.
Timmy's taking notes.
What's that address again? I'm sorry, I missed that part. What is it?
We will send
South.
Morgan out.
South 4th Street, Tooele.
Okay.
It's 5-bedroom, 2-bathroom.
Ooh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So they're probably underwater a touch.
I see that Tim just left screeching away in the parking lot. No, I'm just kidding.
Peeled out.
I'll see you in Tooele there. Okay, Christina? Let's go over.
Okay, where did that performer go? Oh, that's right. We were on. Oh, we don't run ads on Rentix either, guys. So that's annoying. All right, 2,400 a year. It's property taxes, so it's about 0.63, which is kind of high for Tooele County. So you could probably even get those dropped if you count the county. And you said 2,401?
Yeah.
There you go. 5.75. That's your interest rate. So that's great. That's a great interest rate. And you get to pick up a property in theory for 0 down. What's the projected rent?
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to know. I kind of got they did say, I mean, with the rental meter, I guess we could put 2350.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Well, let's do this. I just threw the zip code in here.
I was gonna say 22, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, then we were gonna ask you, David, about this, so
Yeah.
It's a 3-bed?
5-bedroom. I was gonna go high and put it out there for 2,500, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, it looks like we're not.
It's an older home, so
It's an older home. Okay. So let's maybe what's the year?
Like a 64
I'm sorry?
or something.
What's the year?
Was it built?
Oh, a 1940, let me see here.
Okay.
Oh, 1943.
1943. Okay. Yeah, I mean, not a ton of comps. So there's a little bit of like kind of combining information and data here.
Yeah.
So we've got these here. So you've obviously got the bedrooms. What's the square feet on it?
1932, not too
19
big.
Okay, so it's pretty big. It's a decent size. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it looks
It's
like,
not comparable to the newer ones, but
yeah,
anyway, even if we got 2200 or 20,
yeah, let's try it.
I
And
like
we'll-
David's perspective about even if you have to pay, a difference, they're still paying off the mortgage with the rental.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's some principal pay down. And also you are going to be, the principal is accelerated because you're taking over the life. You're not on month 1 as opposed to, I don't know, month 37, where the principal is going to be, it's paid down. So let's just say hypothetically, I mean, Utah's forecasted to grow about 7-8%. Let's be conservative here, 5%. We'll plug in, what do you want for vacancy and repairs?
That's monthly.
Mm-hmm.
What's the average? I don't know.
For Tooele, with it being older, you're probably good with a 4. If it were me, I would do a 4%.
Okay.
Do you think there'll be any capital expenditures?
I mean, probably so. It was remodeled when they bought it 2 years ago, so
Okay. Well, let's just throw in a 1%.
yeah.
You can beef that up if you'd like when I share this with you. And then we've also, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just laughing.
2,400 here. Hang on. So, and then I'm just going to plug in, when you guys are creating pro formas, instead of putting percentages, make sure you get the exact property tax that people paid, because typically the assessed value is lower than what it actually is. And sometimes that means a property cash flowing and not.
Yes.
Okay. All righty. So are you selling yourself on this or somebody else?
Selling ourselves on this.
Okay. Okay. Is there a BAC in this then for you? Or just
No.
the 0 down is the nut?
Yep.
Okay. All righty. Let's take a look. So pretty good cap rate. And obviously that's a little bit below what you and I had talked about earlier. But today's point, the reason that I think this is so advantageous, I mean, is that these numbers right here are legit. They're legitimate. This principal pay down, your appreciation ROI, like realistically, you're pushing 100 to 200% annualized return with the inputs that we put in here.
Awesome.
Now let's take a look at how your net worth is going to grow in 10 years. If you just hold it.
Wow.
Does that sound right, Dave?
Yeah, sounds right.
Mr. Millionaire?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Love it. Thank you so much.
All righty. Okay. That pro forma is coming your way here. Now, again, get really acquainted with this functionality here, guys, of sharing. And I totally forgot to mention that if you want to, like, let's say you wanted to add your significant other as a collaborator, very similar to a spreadsheet, you just add them in here. And if they come in here and make changes to it, it'll update on your end.
Oh, that's great.
There you go. Okay. Well, I know we are over time here. Great questions, guys. What else do you have?
Guys, what we'll do is we're going to invite Austin back, and maybe the next class is training not just what to do, but how to do it, right? How you present it to your clientele. Maybe we can do a quick class on that. Maybe next week or the week after, we'll look at Austin's schedule, and we'll do a Zoom class again. And that way you can, again, give you some time to wrap your head around this. And then the next class, he can try to, again, help you guys to how to walk the talk, okay? So, guys, Austin, great job, brother. This was phenomenal. Ninjas, this tool is, it's it. So make sure to use it, take the time to learn it. And questions, guys?
So if you're interested in paying the monthly for it, how do we do that?
So click on any of these pro formas that I sent you guys, except for Christina's, because that one's confidential, right? And she'll kill you if you take it. But if you click on any of these here, when you go, let me show you what it'll look like on your end. I'm still sharing my screen here. When you come and hit edit property, hit add property, and this should take you to an interface. So it's cloning it in mine because I have an account. It should prompt you to create an account there. You'll need to verify your email. And then that's where you can go ahead and create an account. You can also use that coupon code as well.
Yeah, I also dropped a link straight for the register link in the chat as well.
Oh, perfect.
Wanna
Okay,
use
yeah,
that?
it's this one right here, guys.
The one that says Braden there, guys.
Thanks, Brady.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, and lastly, if you have any clients that want to sign up as well, they're more than welcome to use your code. But also, we are going to be setting up kickbacks on referrals in the near term. That'll probably be anywhere from 25 to 30%. So that should be pretty substantial if you have a lot of clients. Like Mr. Troy Hodel, they're getting older. They want to buy investment properties. Troy's going to be kicking back, collecting a check. So
Getting older, they're getting younger, like me.
okay.
We'll,
All right, guys. Thank you.
and then we will have a conversation with Austin. We'll see what we can do as a brokerage. So Austin, appreciate your brother. Ninjas, we appreciate you too. And we'll be chatting here soon.
Thank you, guys. You're awesome.
Thanks, Austin.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Take care.